Mia Rodriguez sat in the medical bay of the colony ship New Harmony, waiting for her routine health scan to finish. The machine hummed quietly as it checked her body for any problems. She was 23 years old and had lived on this ship her whole life, just like her parents and grandparents before her. The ship had been traveling through space for over 100 years, carrying thousands of people to find new homes among the stars. The doctor, Peter Kim, looked at the scan results on his screen. His face changed from bored to confused, then to excited. He ran the scan again, checking the numbers twice. Mia watched him with growing worry. "Is something wrong with me?" she asked. Her voice shook a little. She had always been healthy, never even catching the common colds that sometimes spread through the ship. Peter shook his head quickly. "No, nothing wrong at all. Actually, something very interesting. Your brain shows patterns we have never seen before. The quantum resonance readings are off the charts." Mia did not understand what that meant. She was a musician who played in the ship's entertainment center. She knew about notes and rhythms, not quantum anything. "What does that mean?" Peter pulled up more data on his screen. "Your brain can detect and create quantum harmonics. Most humans cannot do this. Actually, no humans we have tested can do this. It is like you can hear and make sounds that exist in multiple dimensions at once." This made no sense to Mia. She had always been good with music, better than most people, on the ship. She could hear tiny differences in pitch that others missed. Sometimes she felt like music had colors and shapes, but she thought everyone experienced it that way. "I need to call some people," Peter said. "This discovery could change everything for humanity. We have been trying to communicate with alien species for decades. Some of them use quantum harmonics to talk. You might be the key we have been looking for." Mia's hands began to shake. She had just come in for a simple checkup, and now this doctor was talking about aliens and quantum physics. "I just play piano and guitar. I am not some special person." Peter sat down next to her. "Mia, do you remember the stories about the Resonance Collective? The alien beings made of pure energy that have been trying to contact different species across the galaxy?" She nodded. Everyone knew those stories. The Resonance Collective had been sending signals for hundreds of years. Scientists from many different alien species had tried to understand their messages, but no one had succeeded. The signals seemed to be some kind of music or sound pattern, but they were too complex for normal minds to understand. Your brain might be able to understand their signals. More than that, you might be able to talk back to them. Mia stood up quickly. "That is crazy. I'm just a regular person from a regular family. My dad fixes machines and my mom teaches children. My brother works in the ship's kitchen. We are not important people." "Sometimes the most important discoveries come from regular people," Peter said gently. "Would you be willing to let me run more tests? I want to see exactly what your brain can do." Mia thought about her family. Her parents Carlos and Linda had always supported her music. Her grandmother Rosa had taught her to play guitar when she was little. Her younger brother Jake sometimes complained that she got too much attention for her musical abilities, but he loved her. They were a close family who took care of each other. "What would happen if I really can do this quantum thing?" she asked. Peter was quiet for a moment. "The Galactic Council might ask you to try to communicate with the Resonance Collective. It would be the first real contact between humans and this ancient alien species. It could change humanity's place in the galaxy forever." The weight of those words hit Mia like a physical force. She had grown up hearing about how humans were still newcomers to the galaxy. Most alien species saw them as young and inexperienced. Humans had to work hard to earn respect from the older civilizations. "I need to talk to my family first," she said. Peter nodded. "Of course, but Mia, please keep this quiet for now. If word gets out before we understand what is happening, it could cause panic or false hope." Mia walked back to her family's quarters in a daze. The ship's corridors looked the same as always, with their metal walls and soft lighting. People walked past her, going about their daily lives. They had no idea that one of their neighbors might hold the key to humanity's future. She found her family eating dinner together. Her father Carlos looked tired from his work in the engine room. Her mother Linda was grading papers from her students. Jake was playing a game on his tablet while eating. "How was your checkup?" Linda asked without looking up from her work. Mia sat down at the table. She wanted to tell them everything, but Peter had asked her to keep it quiet. It was fine, everything normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. As she looked at her family, she realized that their lives might be about to change in ways they could not imagine. If she really had this special ability, if she really could talk to aliens, what would that mean for them? Rosa, her grandmother, looked at her with sharp eyes. "You look troubled, Mija. Something is bothering you." Mia forced a smile. Just tired, long day. But inside, her mind was racing. Could she really have some special power? Was she supposed to represent all of humanity in talking to beings made of pure energy? The idea was both terrifying and exciting. After dinner, she went to her small room and picked up her guitar. As she played, she tried to listen more carefully to the sounds. Were there really multiple dimensions in the music? Could she hear things that others could not? The notes seemed to shimmer and dance in ways she had never noticed before. Maybe Peter was right. Maybe she was different. Maybe she was meant for something bigger than playing music in the ship's entertainment center. But she was also just Mia Rodriguez, a young woman who loved her family and wanted to make them proud. Whatever happened next, she hoped she would be strong enough to handle it. 3 days later, Peter Kim called Mia back to the medical bay. This time he was not alone. A tall woman with gray hair stood next to him, wearing the blue uniform of the ship's command staff. Her name tag read, Captain Martinez. "Mia, please, sit down," the captain said. Her voice was kind but serious. "Dr. Kim has shared his findings with me and with Earth Command. What we are about to tell you is classified information." Mia's stomach twisted with nervousness. She had barely slept since her last visit here. Every time she played music, she found herself listening for strange sounds and patterns. Sometimes she thought she heard them, but she was not sure if they were real or just her imagination. "The Galactic Council has been notified about your abilities," Captain Martinez continued. "They are very interested. The Resonance Collective has been trying to communicate for over 300 years. Many species have failed to understand their messages. If you can succeed, it would be the most important first contact in galactic history." Peter pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Dozens of different alien species were marked in different colors. Humans were shown in blue, occupying only a few small systems. Right now, humans are considered a level 2 civilization, he explained. "We have space travel and basic technology, but we are not seen as very advanced. Most alien species are polite to us but do not take us seriously. Successful contact with the Resonance Collective could change that completely." Mia stared at the display. "What exactly are the Resonance Collective? I mean, I know the basic stories, but what are they really?" Captain Martinez touched the display and new images appeared. They showed beings of pure light and energy, shifting and flowing like music made visible. They are one of the oldest known civilizations in the galaxy. They existed as physical beings millions of years ago, but they evolved beyond the need for bodies. Now they exist as pure consciousness and energy. They have knowledge and wisdom that could help all the younger species in the galaxy, Peter added. But they communicate only through quantum harmonics. Every species that has tried to talk to them has failed because their minds cannot process the complex sound patterns. Mia felt overwhelmed. "Why me? Why do I have this ability when no other human does?" "We think it is a natural mutation," Peter said. "Sometimes evolution creates unexpected gifts. Maybe your brain developed this way, because humanity needed someone who could bridge the gap between our species and theirs." Captain Martinez leaned forward. "Mia, I need to ask you something important. The Galactic Council wants to formally request that you attempt communication with the Resonance Collective. You can say no. No one will force you to do anything. But if you agree, you would be representing all of humanity." The weight of that responsibility made Mia feel sick. What if I fail? What if I make things worse for humans? "Then we will be in the same position we are now," the captain said. "But if you succeed, you could open doors for humanity that we never imagined possible." Mia thought about her family. How could she tell them about this? Her parents had always been proud of her music, But this was something completely different. This was about the future of their entire species. "Can I have time to think about it?" she asked. "Of course, but Mia, the Resonance Collective's signals have been getting stronger lately. Our scientists think they might be preparing for something important. We may not have much time." That evening, Mia finally told her family everything. They sat in their small living area, and she explained about the medical scan, her special abilities, and the request from the Galactic Council. Carlos was quiet for a long time after she finished talking. Finally, he said, "Our little girl talking to aliens made of energy. It sounds like something from a movie." Linda reached over and took Mia's hand. "Are you scared?" "Terrified," Mia admitted. "What if I am not good enough? What if I let everyone down?" Jake had been silent during the explanation, but now he spoke up. "This is insane. Mia, you could get hurt. These are alien beings we know nothing about. What if something goes wrong?" Rosa, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. "In our family, music has always been about connecting with others. Your great-grandfather played guitar to bring people together during hard times. Your grandmother sang lullabies to comfort scared children. Music is a bridge between hearts. Maybe this is just a bigger bridge than we ever imagined." "But what if she changes?" Jake asked. His voice was filled with worry. "What if talking to these aliens makes her different? What if we lose our sister?" Mia looked at her brother. She could see the fear in his eyes. He had always been protective of her, even though he was younger. "Jake, I am still me. No matter what happens, I will always be your sister." "You do not know that," he said. "You have no idea what communicating with beings of pure energy might do to you." Linda squeezed Mia's hand tighter. "What does your heart tell you to do?" Mia closed her eyes and tried to listen to her inner voice. She thought about all the music she had ever played, all the feelings she had shared through songs. Music had always been her way of connecting with people, of expressing things that words could not say. "I think I have to try," she said quietly. "If I have this ability for a reason, if I can help humanity find its place in the galaxy, then I cannot run away from that responsibility." Carlos nodded slowly. "Your mother and I raised you to always do what you think is right, even when it is scary. If this is what you believe you should do, then we will support you. But we stay together as a family through this," Jake said firmly. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Mia felt tears in her eyes. Her family's love and support meant everything to her. With them behind her, maybe she could find the courage to attempt something that no human had ever tried before. Together, she agreed. The next morning, Mia went back to Captain Martinez and told her she would accept the Galactic Council's request. The captain smiled and shook her hand. "You are very brave, Mia. Humanity is lucky to have you." As Mia walked back to her quarters, she wondered if bravery was the right word. She felt more terrified than brave. But sometimes, she thought, maybe, doing the right thing when you are scared is exactly what bravery means. 2 weeks later, Mia found herself on a space station called Harmony Point, far from her family's ship. The station was a meeting place for different alien species, and she had never seen anything like it. Beings of all shapes and sizes walked through the corridors. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange she could barely understand how they moved or communicated. Her trainer was a being called Zeth-Ka, who came from a species known as the Harmonious Collective. Zeth-Ka looked like a tall crystal, sculpture that could move and change shape. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes mixed with distant thunder. "Human Mia," Zeth-Ka said during their first meeting, "your species approaches this challenge incorrectly. For 300 years, different civilizations have tried to solve the Resonance Collective's communication as if it were a mathematical problem. They analyze frequencies and wave patterns, but they miss the most important element." "What element?" Mia asked. She felt very small sitting across from this magnificent crystal being. "Emotion, feeling, the music of the soul." Zeth-Ka's form shifted and sparkled. "The Resonance Collective does not wish to share data or scientific information. They wish to share the essence of their civilization before they transcend to a higher dimensional plane. This was new information to Mia. No one had told her that the Resonance Collective was preparing to leave this dimension entirely. They are going away? Yes. They have existed in this form for millions of years, but they are ready to evolve beyond physical reality as we understand it. Before they go, they want to pass on their cultural and spiritual legacy to a species worthy of preserving it. Mia felt the weight of responsibility grow even heavier. And they want to give it to humans? They want to give it to someone who can truly understand it. Every species that has tried before focused on the technical aspects of their communication. But you, human Mia, you understand that music carries more than just sound. You feel the emotions and stories within the notes. Over the following days, Zethka taught Mia how to expand her natural abilities. She learned to listen for quantum harmonics in the background radiation of space. She practiced creating simple harmonic patterns using a specially designed instrument that looked like a combination of a piano and a harp, but with strings made of pure energy. The training was exhausting. Each day, Mia pushed her mind to perceive sounds and patterns that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Sometimes the effort gave her severe headaches. Other times, she felt like her consciousness was stretching thin across space and time. During one particularly difficult session, Mia broke down completely. She was trying to create a harmonic pattern that matched a simple resonance collective transmission. But every attempt failed. The sounds felt wrong, like she was speaking a language with only half the alphabet. "I cannot do this," she cried, pushing away from the energy instrument. "Everyone expects me to be some kind of miracle worker, but I am just a regular person who plays music. I am not equipped for this." Zethka's crystalline form dimmed with what Mia had learned was the equivalent of concern. "You doubt yourself because you carry the hopes of your entire species. This is natural but counterproductive. How can I not feel that pressure? If I fail, humanity remains isolated. If I succeed, we become part of something bigger than we can imagine. Either way, I am responsible for my species' future." "You think too much about success and failure," Zethka said. "The Resonance Collective does not care about your species' political status in the galaxy. They care about finding someone who can understand the beauty and pain and joy of existence itself. Can you do that?" Mia wiped her tears and thought about her family. She remembered her grandmother Rosa teaching her to play guitar, explaining that music was not about perfect notes but about sharing feelings. She thought about the lullabies her mother sang, the work songs her father hummed, the silly tunes she and Jake made up as children. "Yes," she said quietly. "I can do that." Then stop trying to impress the galaxy and start trying to connect with another consciousness. The Resonance Collective has been alone for millions of years. They want to share their story with someone who will listen with their heart, not just their mind. This changed everything for Mia. Instead of focusing on technical precision, she began to approach the harmonic patterns as emotional conversations. She imagined herself talking to an ancient, lonely being who had beautiful stories to tell but no one to tell them to. Her progress improved dramatically. Within days, she was creating harmonic responses to simple resonance collective transmissions. The patterns felt alive under her hands, full of meaning and emotion that went beyond words. But the breakthrough also brought new fears. As she connected more deeply with the quantum harmonics, Mia began to sense the vast loneliness of the resonance collective. They had transcended physical existence but lost the ability to form new relationships or experiences. They were ready to move on to the next stage of existence, but they did not want their millions of years of history and culture to simply disappear. "Zethka," she said after one successful session, "what exactly will happen when I communicate with them fully? Will I be changed by the experience?" The crystal being was quiet for a long moment. "Unknown. No one has successfully made full contact before. But human Mia, all meaningful experiences change us. The question is whether you are willing to grow in order to serve something larger than yourself." That night, Mia called her family using the station's communication system. Seeing their faces on the screen made her feel homesick and determined at the same time. How is the training going? Linda asked. It is harder than I expected, but I am learning. Mom, I need to ask you something. What if this experience changes me? What if I come back different than when I left? Carlos leaned into the camera view. Mija, you have been changing and growing your whole life. The little girl who was afraid to play in front of people became the young woman who performs for the whole ship. Change is not always bad. Jake appeared on screen looking worried. But this is different, Mia. You are talking about connecting with alien minds. What if you lose yourself in the process? Rosa's voice came from off-screen. She will not lose herself because she knows who she is. Music taught her that. When you truly know yourself, you can share that self with others without losing what makes you special. Mia smiled, feeling strengthened by their words. I love you all so much. Whatever happens, remember that everything I do is because you taught me to care about others and to use my gifts to help people. After ending the call, Mia returned to her training with renewed purpose. She was not just preparing to communicate with aliens. She was preparing to preserve the legacy of an entire civilization while staying true to the values her family had taught her. The real test was still to come, but she felt ready to face it. After 6 weeks of intensive training, Mia experienced her first real breakthrough. She was practicing with her energy instrument when she suddenly heard something new in the quantum harmonics around the station. It was faint, like a whisper, in a crowded room but unmistakably different from the background radiation of space. Zethka, she called excitedly. I think I am hearing them. The Resonance Collective. They are trying to communicate right now, the crystal being moved quickly to her side, its form brightening with interest. What do you perceive? Mia closed her eyes and focused all her attention on the strange harmonic patterns. It is not words or data. It feels like memories. Old memories full of sadness and beauty. They are remembering their home world before they transcended physical form. She began to play along with the harmonics, creating complementary patterns that seemed to encourage the transmission. As she played, images began to form in her mind. She saw a planet covered in crystal cities that sang in the wind. She felt the joy of beings who could share thoughts and emotions directly through harmonic frequencies. But she also felt their loss. When they had evolved beyond physical bodies, they had gained incredible knowledge and power, but they had lost the ability to create new experiences. They could not feel the warmth of sunlight on skin they no longer had, or share the simple pleasure of eating food with friends who were now part of their collective consciousness. They are dying, Mia whispered, still playing the harmonic responses. Not their bodies because they do not have bodies anymore, but their civilization is dying. They have learned everything there is to learn, experienced everything they can experience in this dimension. They are ready to move on, but they do not want their story to end. Zethka's crystalline form pulsed with understanding. Yes, this is what no other species understood. The Resonance Collective is not seeking to gain something from communication. They are seeking to give something away. Their entire cultural legacy, their history, their accumulated wisdom and emotional experiences. But why humans? Mia asked, still maintaining the harmonic connection. Why not an older, more advanced species? Because, Zethka said softly, older species have often lost the capacity for wonder and emotional growth. They become focused on logic and efficiency. Humans are still young enough to feel deeply, to create art and music that comes from the heart. The Resonance Collective needs their legacy to be preserved by beings who will honor both the knowledge and the feelings within it. As the transmission faded, Mia realized something that made her both excited and terrified. This is not going to be a conversation, is it? When they make full contact, they are going to transfer their entire civilization's worth of memories and experiences into whoever is receiving the communication. That is correct. It will be the last thing they do before transcending to the next dimensional plane. The receiver will become the living repository of everything the Resonance Collective has ever been. Mia sat back from her instrument, overwhelmed. Zethka, I do not know if I am strong enough for that. We are talking about millions of years of accumulated knowledge and experience. How can one human mind contain all of that? Perhaps not all of it, the crystal being admitted. But you will contain the essence of it. The most important parts will become part of you, and through you, part of humanity's collective understanding. That night, Mia could not sleep. She walked through the observation deck of Harmony Point, looking out at the stars. Each point of light represented whole systems with their own civilizations and histories. The universe felt impossibly vast and ancient. She thought about her family back on New Harmony. Her father would be finishing his shift in the engine room about now. Her mother would be preparing lessons for tomorrow's classes. Jake would be practicing his cooking skills in the ship's kitchen. Rosa would be sitting in her chair, probably playing her old guitar and humming songs from Earth. They were living simple, good lives, focused on taking care of each other and their community. Now their daughter and sister was about to become the repository for an alien civilization's entire legacy. How would that change her relationship with them? The next few days of training took on a different character. Instead of practicing communication techniques, Zethka helped Mia prepare mentally and emotionally for what was to come. The transfer will not happen all at once, Zethka explained. It will occur during what the Resonance Collective calls their final concert. They will share their essence through music, through harmonic patterns that carry their memories and emotions. You will need to receive these patterns and allow them to become part of you without losing your own identity in the process. How do I do that? How do I stay myself while absorbing millions of years of alien experiences? Remember who you are and why you are here. Hold tight to your connections with your family, your species, your own values and beliefs. Let the Resonance Collective's legacy flow into you, but anchor yourself in your humanity. Mia practiced meditation techniques designed to help her maintain her sense of self while opening her mind to vast new experiences. She learned to create mental barriers that would protect her core personality while allowing external knowledge to integrate with her consciousness. During one meditation session, she had a vision that felt completely real. She saw herself standing in a vast concert hall that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Resonance Collective appeared as beings of pure light and music, creating harmonies so beautiful they made her cry. But in the vision, she was not alone. She could feel the presence of her family, of all humanity, supporting her and giving her strength. She realized that she would not be receiving the Resonance Collective's legacy just for herself, but for her entire species. I understand now, she told Zethka after the meditation ended. This is not about me being special or chosen. This is about humanity being ready to take on the responsibility of preserving another civilization's legacy. I am just the conduit through which it will happen. Yes. And that is why you will succeed where others have failed. You understand that this is not about personal glory or advancement. It is about service to something greater than yourself. As Mia's training neared completion, word came that the Resonance Collective's signals were growing stronger and more frequent. Scientists across the galaxy believed that their final concert would happen soon. Mia sent a message to her family asking them to come to Harmony Point. I want you here when it happens, she told them. I need to know that no matter how much I change, my family will still love me and help me remember who I am. The response came back immediately. We are already on our way, Carlos replied. Nothing in the universe could keep us from being there for you. Mia smiled, feeling a warmth that no alien knowledge or cosmic responsibility could replace. Whatever was about to happen, she would face it with the love and support of the people who had shaped her into the person she was. The final concert was coming, and she was as ready as anyone could be for something that had never been attempted before. When Mia's family arrived at Harmony Point, she barely recognized the people stepping off the transport shuttle. They all looked smaller and more fragile than she remembered, as if her weeks of training with alien beings had changed her perspective on what normal humans looked like. But the moment Rosa opened her arms, Mia ran to her grandmother like she was still a little girl. The familiar scent of Rosa's perfume and the warmth of her hug made everything feel real again. Mija, you look different, Rosa said, holding Mia at arm's length to study her face. Older, like you have seen things that changed you. I have, Abuela. I have learned so much about the universe and about what I am supposed to do. but I have also been scared every single day since I left home." Carlos and Linda hugged their daughter together, creating a family sandwich that made Jake roll his eyes but smile at the same time. "We are so proud of you," Linda whispered. "But are you okay? Really okay?" Mia considered the question seriously. "I think so. I am definitely not the same person who left New Harmony 2 months ago, but I still feel like me, just more aware of how big and complex everything is." Jake hung back until the group hug ended, then stepped forward awkwardly. "So, you are really going to talk to aliens made of pure energy?" "More than talk to them. I am going to receive their entire civilization's legacy and become responsible for preserving it for humanity." Jake's face went pale. "Mia, that sounds incredibly dangerous. What if something goes wrong? What if the experience damages your mind or changes you so much that you are not you anymore?" Mia took her brother's hands. "Jake, I have been worried about the same things. But I have realized something important. All my life, you and Mom and Dad and Abuela have taught me who I am. You have shown me what it means to be human, to care about family, to use my abilities to help others. Those lessons are not going to disappear just because I gain new knowledge and experiences." "But you do not know that for sure," Jake insisted. "You have no idea what communicating with beings of pure energy will do to a human mind. This has never been attempted before." Rosa spoke up quietly. "Jake, mijo, your sister has always been special. When she was little, she could make people cry just by playing a simple melody on her guitar. She has always been able to connect with others through music in ways that seemed almost magical. Maybe this is just the next step in using that gift." Carlos had been quiet since they arrived, but now he spoke up. "Mia, I need to ask you something. Are you doing this because you want to or because you feel like you have to?" It was a good question, one that Mia had wrestled with throughout her training. "A little of both, Papa. I feel responsible because I seem to be the only human who can do this, but I also want to do it. The Resonance Collective has an incredible story to tell, and if I can help preserve that story for humanity, then maybe we can learn from their experiences and become better than we are now." "What exactly will happen during this final concert?" Linda asked. Mia led her family to the observation deck where she had spent so many sleepless nights thinking about the future. "The Resonance Collective will create harmonic patterns that contain their memories, their emotions, their accumulated wisdom from millions of years of existence. I will receive those patterns and somehow integrate them into my own consciousness." "That sounds overwhelming," Carlos said. "How much of their knowledge will you retain?" "Zethka thinks I will retain the essential parts, the most important experiences and insights. I will not become a walking encyclopedia of alien knowledge, but I will carry the heart of their civilization within me." Jake sat down heavily on one of the observation benches. "I still do not understand why it has to be you. Why did you have to be born with this ability? Why could you not just be a normal musician living a normal life?" Mia sat next to her brother. "Do you remember when we were children and you asked me why I spent so much time practicing music instead of playing games with you? You said music was your way of talking to people's hearts." "Exactly. This is just a bigger version of that. The Resonance Collective needs someone who can listen to their hearts, understand their story, and help preserve what made them who they were." Rosa had been listening quietly, but now she spoke with the wisdom of her years. "In our family, we have always believed that gifts come with responsibilities. Your great-grandfather's gift for fixing machines meant he spent his life helping others keep their equipment running. Your father's gift for understanding complex systems means he keeps our ship moving safely through space. Your gift for music has always meant helping others feel less alone. Now your gift is being called to serve something bigger, but it is still the same gift at its core." Linda wiped tears from her eyes. "I am proud of you for being willing to take on this responsibility, but I am also terrified of losing my daughter to something beyond our understanding. You will not lose me, Mama. I promise. No matter what knowledge I gain or how I change, I will always be your daughter who loves music and family and the simple pleasures of being human." Over the next few days, as they waited for the Resonance Collective to signal that they were ready for the final concert, Mia's family explored Harmony Point. They met beings from dozens of different species and marveled at the diversity of life in the galaxy. But Mia noticed that her parents seemed overwhelmed by the scale of everything. They had lived their entire lives on a human ship, surrounded by familiar technology and customs. Seeing how vast and strange the universe really was made them feel small and insignificant. "Mia," Carlos said one evening as they shared dinner in the station's human-compatible restaurant, "after you do this thing with the Resonance Collective, will you still want to come home to New Harmony? Will our simple life seem boring compared to all this?" The question broke Mia's heart. "Papa, New Harmony is not simple. It is home. You and Mama and Jake and Abuela are the most important things in my life. No amount of cosmic knowledge will change that." "But you will be changed," Jake said. "You admitted that yourself. How do we know that the person who comes back to us will still be our Mia?" Mia thought about this carefully. "I will be changed, yes. But think about how much you have changed since you were a child. Are you still Jake, even though you are different than you were 10 years ago? That is different. That was normal growth and learning. This is also growth and learning, just on a larger scale. The core of who I am, the values you taught me, the love I have for my family, these things will not change. They will just be part of a larger understanding of what it means to exist in this universe." Rosa reached across the table and took Mia's hand. "We trust you, Mija. We trust that you know yourself well enough to hold on to what matters most, even when you are given new knowledge and experiences." That night, Mia received word that the Resonance Collective was ready. The final concert would begin in 3 days. Representatives from across the galaxy were coming to witness humanity's attempt at first contact with one of the universe's oldest civilizations. As Mia prepared for the most important moment of her life, she felt her family's love surrounding her like armor. Whatever was about to happen, she would face it as Mia Rodriguez, daughter of Carlos and Linda, sister of Jake, granddaughter of Rosa. She would carry their love and values with her into whatever came next. The concert hall built for the final concert was unlike anything Mia had ever imagined. It floated in space near Harmony Point, a massive crystal structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. From the outside, it looked like a giant musical instrument made of pure energy and light. Inside, the hall could hold representatives from every known species in the galaxy. Thousands of beings filled the crystalline seats, all waiting to witness what might be the most important communication event in galactic history. The air hummed with excitement and nervous energy. Mia stood backstage wearing a simple white dress that her mother had packed for her. She had wanted to look human for this moment, to represent her species with dignity and grace. Her family sat in the front row of the human section, their faces showing a mixture of pride, fear, and love. Sethka approached her, its crystalline form glowing softly. "Human Mia, are you prepared?" "As prepared as anyone can be for something that has never been done before," she replied. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. The energy instrument had been modified for this event. It now stood in the center of the stage, connected to quantum amplifiers that would broadcast her harmonic responses across multiple dimensions. Every note she played would be heard not just in this hall, but by beings throughout the galaxy. Captain Martinez came backstage to wish her luck. "Mia, whatever happens today, know that humanity is proud of you. You have already accomplished something remarkable just by getting this far." "Thank you, Captain. Will you do me a favor? If something goes wrong, if I am somehow changed too much by this experience, will you make sure my family knows that I love them?" "Nothing will go wrong," the captain said firmly, "and you will tell them yourself when this is over." As Mia walked onto the stage, the vast hall fell silent. Beings of every shape and size focused their attention on the young human woman, who was about to attempt something no one had ever achieved. She could feel the weight of their expectations, but also their hope. She sat at the energy instrument and closed her eyes, reaching out with her enhanced senses to detect the quantum harmonics around her. For a moment, There was nothing but the normal background radiation of space. Then she heard them. The Resonance Collective announced their presence, with a harmonic pattern so beautiful and complex that it made Mia gasp. It was not just sound, but emotion made audible. She could feel their ancient loneliness, their vast knowledge, their readiness to transcend to something beyond physical existence. She began to play a simple response, letting them know that she was there and listening. The pattern she created was purely human, filled with the warmth and messiness and joy of her species' young civilization. The Resonance Collective responded with what could only be described as surprise and delight. They had expected a technical, calculated response like the ones they had received from other species. Instead, they received something that felt alive and spontaneous and full of heart. As the communication continued, the harmonic patterns became more complex and meaningful. The Resonance Collective began to share pieces of their history, their culture, their understanding of existence itself. Mia received these patterns and translated them into forms that the diverse audience could partially understand. Images began to appear in the air above the stage, projections created by the harmonic interactions. The audience saw glimpses of the Resonance Collective's ancient home world, their evolution from physical beings to pure consciousness, their millions of years of accumulated experiences. But as the concert progressed, Mia realized that something unexpected was happening. The Resonance Collective was not just sharing their knowledge with her. They were sharing their deepest emotions, their regrets and joys and sorrows accumulated over eons of existence. She felt their sadness at losing the ability to experience simple physical pleasures. She felt their longing for the connections they had once shared as individual beings before merging into a collective consciousness. She felt their fear that their civilization's story would be forgotten when they transcended to the next dimensional plane. The harmonic patterns grew stronger and more intense. Mia's consciousness began to expand, touching dimensions of reality she had never imagined. She could sense the presence of the Resonance Collective not as distant aliens, but as ancient relatives sharing their final gifts with a younger species. In the audience, her family watched with growing concern as Mia's form began to glow with the same energy that surrounded the Resonance Collective's manifestation. She was becoming a bridge between dimensions, a living conduit for communication between vastly different forms of existence. "Is she safe?" Jake whispered to Rosa, his voice filled with worry. "She is doing something that no one has ever done before," Rosa replied. "We must trust that her strength and her love for us will keep her anchored to who she is." As the concert reached its climax, the Resonance Collective began their final transmission. This was not just communication, but the transfer of their entire civilization's essence. Millions of years of knowledge, wisdom, art, and emotion flowed through the harmonic patterns into Mia's consciousness. For a terrifying moment, Mia felt herself being overwhelmed by the vast scope of the alien experiences. She was losing herself in the ocean of ancient memories and cosmic understanding. She could feel her human identity beginning to dissolve under the weight of eons of alien knowledge. But then she heard something that anchored her to herself. In the audience, her family was singing. Rosa had started it, humming an old lullaby that she used to sing to Mia as a child. Linda and Carlos joined in, and then Jake, their voices harmonizing with the cosmic patterns surrounding the stage. The simple human song cut through all the complex quantum harmonics like a lifeline. Mia grabbed onto it, using her family's love as an anchor, while she absorbed the Resonance Collective's final gift. She felt the alien knowledge settling into her, consciousness becoming part of her without erasing who she was. She was still Mia Rodriguez, daughter and sister and granddaughter, but now she was also the keeper of an ancient civilization's legacy. As the transfer completed, the Resonance Collective's presence began to fade. They were transcending, moving, onto whatever came next in their cosmic evolution. But before they left completely, they sent one final message. It was not in words or even in harmonic patterns. It was pure gratitude, a feeling of profound thanks for being understood and remembered by someone who cared about both their knowledge and their hearts. The concert hall fell silent as the last traces of the Resonance Collective's energy disappeared. Mia sat at her instrument, glowing softly with residual quantum energy, forever changed but still recognizably herself. In the audience, her family wept with relief and pride, knowing that their daughter and sister had just accomplished something that would change the course of galactic history while remaining true to the values they had taught her. The final concert was over, but Mia's real journey was just beginning. As the last echoes of the final concert faded, Mia remained seated at the energy instrument, her form still glowing with soft quantum light. The vast audience waited in absolute silence, unsure of what had just witnessed or what would happen next. Slowly, Mia opened her eyes. They now held depths that had not been there before, as if she could see across multiple dimensions simultaneously. When she stood, her movements seemed to flow with the same harmonic grace that had characterized the Resonance Collective's presence. But when she looked toward her family in the front row, her face broke into a smile that was purely, recognizably, human. "I am still me," she said, her voice carrying clearly throughout the hall without any technological amplification. The quantum harmonics had somehow enhanced her natural abilities. "I am still Mia Rodriguez from New Harmony, and I love my family more than all the stars in the galaxy." The relief on her parents' faces was visible even from the stage. Jake started to cry, not from sadness but from the overwhelming emotion of seeing his sister return to them after what had seemed like a cosmic transformation. Mia walked down from the stage, and her family surrounded her in a group hug that felt like coming home after the longest journey imaginable. As they embraced, those sitting nearby could see that while Mia was definitely changed, the core of who she was remained intact. "How do you feel?" Linda asked, holding her daughter's face in her hands and studying her eyes. "Different. Fuller. Like I have been carrying a small cup my whole life, and suddenly someone gave me an ocean. But the ocean fits perfectly inside me without spilling over." Carlos looked concerned. "Are you in pain? Was the transfer too much for your mind to handle?" Mia considered the question carefully. "There was a moment when I thought I might lose myself completely. The amount of knowledge and experience they shared was overwhelming. But then I heard you singing, and it reminded me who I am and why I was there. Your love kept me anchored to my humanity while I absorbed their legacy." Rosa touched her granddaughter's hand. "What did they share with you, Mija?" "Everything," Mia whispered. "Their entire civilization's story. Millions of years of art and music and philosophy and scientific discovery. But more than that, they shared their emotions. Their joy at transcending physical limitations, their sadness at losing the ability to experience simple pleasures, their hope that someone would remember their story and learn from their journey." Jake wiped his eyes. "That sounds like an impossible amount of information for one person to carry." "It would be if I had to carry all the details, but what I received was more like the essence of their experiences. I do not know every scientific formula they discovered or every piece of art they created, but I understand the feelings and insights that drove their civilization for millions of years." As they talked, representatives from the Galactic Council approached. The lead counselor, a tall being with silver skin and multiple eyes, spoke with obvious awe. "Human Mia Rodriguez, what you have accomplished today will be remembered for as long as civilizations exist in this galaxy. The Resonance Collective chose well when they selected humanity to receive their legacy." Mia turned to face the council, and those watching could see how she had changed. She carried herself with a new confidence and grace, but her warmth and humanity remained undiminished. "Counselor, I think you misunderstand what happened here. The Resonance Collective did not choose humanity because we are superior to other species. They chose us because we are still young enough to feel wonder, to create art from our hearts rather than just our minds, to value emotional connections as much as logical ones. Nevertheless, this achievement elevates humanity's status in the galactic community. We formally recognize your species as a Level 5 civilization and welcome you as full members of the Galactic Council." Carlos and Linda exchanged amazed looks. A Level 5 civilization had access to advanced technologies, trade relationships, and cultural exchanges with the galaxy's most advanced species. Humanity had just leaped forward thousands of years in terms of galactic recognition, but Mia seemed less impressed by the political implications than by something else. Counselor, the Resonance Collective shared something important with me about the nature of advancement. They learned that true wisdom comes not from accumulating knowledge or power, but from understanding how to use both in service of love and connection. Over the following hours, as representatives from dozens of species came to congratulate her and ask questions about the Resonance Collective's legacy, Mia found herself becoming a bridge between her family and the cosmic community she now belonged to. She translated complex quantum harmonic concepts into terms her parents could understand. She helped Jake see that his sister's transformation was not a loss but a growth that made her more capable of love, not less. She assured Rosa that the ancient wisdom she had gained only confirmed the simple truths her grandmother had taught her about the importance of family and kindness. That night, alone with her family in their temporary quarters on Harmony Point, Mia shared some of what she had learned from the Resonance Collective. They evolved beyond the need for physical bodies millions of years ago, she explained. They became beings of pure consciousness, capable of understanding the deepest mysteries of existence. But in gaining that knowledge, they lost something precious. What did they lose? Jake asked. The ability to experience surprise, to feel the simple joy of a shared meal or a hug from someone you love. They could analyze and understand love, but they could no longer feel it the way we do. That is why they wanted to share their legacy with humanity. We still remember how to feel deeply while we think deeply. Linda smiled through her tears. So in trying to become more than human, they discovered that being human was precious in its own right. Exactly. And that is why I will never leave you, even if my responsibilities take me to distant parts of the galaxy. You are my connection to what makes life worth living. The Resonance Collective's knowledge is incredible, but your love is what makes me who I am. Carlos cleared his throat. Mija, what happens now? Do you have to stay here with all these alien dignitaries, or can you come home with us? Mia looked around at her family, at the people who had shaped her into someone capable of preserving an ancient civilization's legacy, while remaining true to her own humanity. I want to come home, she said. I want to play music in the entertainment center and have dinner with you every night and listen to Abuela's stories. I want to be your daughter and sister, not just humanity's representative to the galaxy. But you will have responsibilities, Rosa said gently. The knowledge you carry is not just for you. Yes, I will need to share what I learned and help humanity understand our new place in the galaxy. But I can do that from New Harmony just as well as from here. The Resonance Collective's most important lesson was that wisdom without love is empty. I want to stay connected to the source of my love. As her family prepared for sleep, Mia stood at the window looking out at the stars. She could now perceive the quantum harmonics flowing between star systems, could sense the presence of countless civilizations scattered across the galaxy. The universe was vast and full of wonders beyond imagination. But the most wonderful thing of all was the sound of her family breathing peacefully in the room behind her, the simple miracle of being loved and loving in return. 6 months later, Mia stood on the small stage in New Harmony's entertainment center, the same place where she had performed countless times before her journey to Harmony Point. But tonight was different. Tonight, she was giving her first concert, since becoming the keeper of the Resonance Collective's legacy. The audience was filled with familiar faces, her shipmates, people she had grown up with, friends and neighbors who had watched her develop her musical talents over the years. They looked at her with a mixture of pride and curiosity, wondering how much their Mia had changed since becoming one of the most important people in galactic history. Her family sat in the front row, just as they always had. Carlos had his arm around Linda, both of them beaming with pride. Jake had brought his girlfriend Emma, a young woman from the ship's botanical section who had become like another sister to Mia. Rosa sat with her hands folded in her lap, smiling with the quiet satisfaction of someone who had always known her granddaughter was destined for something special. Thank you all for coming tonight, Mia said, her voice carrying easily through the small space. I know many of you have questions about what happened at the final concert, about what it means for humanity, about how I have changed. I thought the best way to answer those questions would be through music. She sat at her old piano, the same instrument she had played since childhood. It seemed almost primitive compared to the quantum energy instruments she had mastered, but it felt like home under her fingers. This first song is something the Resonance Collective shared with me. It is about the beauty they found in transcending physical existence, but also about what they missed from their earlier lives. As she began to play, the simple piano somehow produced sounds that seemed to come from multiple dimensions. The notes carried emotions that went beyond anything the audience had ever experienced. They felt the wonder of beings who could perceive the fundamental structures of reality, but also their longing for the simple pleasure of feeling rain on their skin. When the song ended, there was complete silence in the room. Then someone started to cry, and soon half the audience was weeping at the beauty and sadness of what they had just experienced. The Resonance Collective taught me that knowledge, without feeling, is incomplete, Mia continued. They had learned everything there was to know about the universe, but they had forgotten how to laugh at a simple joke or feel excited about tomorrow's possibilities. That is why they chose humanity to preserve their legacy. We still remember how to feel deeply. Her next song was purely human, a lullaby that Rosa had taught her as a child, but now it carried echoes of cosmic wisdom, harmonies that suggested the deep connections between all living beings throughout the galaxy. As she played, Mia looked out at her audience and saw tears streaming down their faces. These were not tears of sadness, but tears of recognition. They were seeing their own humanity reflected back to them through the lens of cosmic understanding. The most important thing I learned, Mia said between songs, is that becoming more than human does not mean leaving humanity behind. It means becoming more deeply human than ever before. Jake wiped his eyes and smiled at his sister. Over the past months, he had watched her struggle with her new responsibilities. Delegations from across the galaxy came to consult with her about the Resonance Collective's knowledge. Scientists wanted to understand their advanced technologies. Philosophers sought insights into the nature of consciousness and existence. But, through it all, Mia had remained his sister. She still helped him practice new recipes in the ship's kitchen. She still sat with their parents during their evening meals, sharing stories and jokes. She still played guitar with Rosa on quiet Sunday afternoons. The hardest part, Mia continued, was learning how to carry millions of years of alien experiences without losing myself in them. There were moments when I felt like I might disappear into the vastness of what they shared with me, but every time that happened, I remembered who I am and why I am here. She played another song, this one about the importance of staying connected to your roots even as you grow beyond what you thought possible. The melody was simple enough for the audience to hum along, but the harmonies carried suggestions of worlds beyond counting, of civilizations that had risen and fallen across the eons. The Resonance Collective's final gift to me was not just their knowledge, but their understanding of what makes life precious. They spent millions of years pursuing transcendence, trying to become something more than what they were. But in the end, they realized that the most valuable things in existence are the connections we make with each other. Linda reached over and squeezed Carlos's hand. They had worried that their daughter would be changed beyond recognition by her experience. Instead, she had become more herself than ever before. The cosmic wisdom she carried had not diminished her humanity, but had illuminated it. For her final song, Mia chose a piece that she had written herself in the weeks following the final concert. It was about the journey home, about discovering that no matter how far you travel or how much you learn, the most important truths are often the ones you carried with you from the beginning. As the last notes faded, the audience erupted in applause. But this was not the polite appreciation of a normal concert. This was the sound of people who had been deeply moved, who had experienced something that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. After the formal concert ended, Mia's family gathered around her just as they always had. Rosa hugged her granddaughter tightly. That was beautiful, Mija. The Resonance Collective chose well when they picked you to carry their story. Actually, Abuela, I think they chose well when they picked humanity. I was just the conduit. The real preservation of their legacy will happen as we live our lives with the wisdom they shared, as we remember to value both knowledge and love. Jake looked at his sister with new understanding. You really are still you, aren't you? All that cosmic knowledge, all that responsibility, and you are still the same person who used to sneak extra cookies from the kitchen. Mia laughed. I am still that person, just with a broader perspective on what cookies mean in the grand scheme of existence. As they walked back to their family quarters together, Mia reflected on how much had changed and how much had stayed the same. She now carried the accumulated wisdom of one of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. She had responsibilities that extended across star systems. She was humanity's bridge to levels of existence that most people could not even imagine. But she was also still Mia Rodriguez, daughter of Carlos and Linda, sister of Jake, granddaughter of Rosa. She was still someone who found joy in simple pleasures, who valued family above all else, who believed that music was the language of the heart. The tears her family had shed during the concert were tears of pride, but also tears of recognition. They had seen their Mia, changed but not lost, grown but not disconnected from her roots. She had touched the infinite and returned home still capable of love. As they reached their door, Mia looked back down the corridor where her neighbors were still talking excitedly about the concert. Tomorrow she would have meetings with alien ambassadors and scientists seeking to understand the Resonance Collective's legacy. She would continue her work as humanity's keeper of cosmic wisdom. But tonight, she would have dinner with her family, listen to Rosa's stories, and remember that the most profound truths in the universe are often the simplest ones. Love matters, family matters, connection matters. These lessons, taught by a grandmother in a small apartment on a colony ship, were as valuable as all the cosmic knowledge in the galaxy. The final concert had made her the bridge between humanity and the stars. But her family's love had made her someone worthy of that responsibility, someone who could touch the infinite without losing her soul.